The marriage of Fidel Castro and Mirta Diaz-Balart was doomed to be a political tragedy. Where a zealous revolutionist binds himself to his political enemy, the relationship between Fidel Castro and Mirta Diaz-Balart is a reflection of the deep divisions of Cuba itself before the Cuban Revolution. This documentary will uncover the history of the couple and the political tensions within Cuba during the marriage that ultimately tore both the couple and their nation apart. Havana, 1950, known as the Paris of the Caribbean, is a bustling tourist city rich with jazz, music, and glamorous nightclubs, beach hotels, and casinos. The wealthy upper class lived in lavish mansions and owned private clubs, completely soaking themselves in champagne and keeping their pockets filled by foreign investors. But just outside this lively city, many Cuban families were living in poverty. Most did not have access to education and were illiterate as a result. There was little, if any, success to healthcare, electricity, and proper sanitation. Many worked on agricultural land owned by wealthy landowners, as tenant farmers or sharecroppers, making low wages and could barely make ends meet. The great wealth gaps between rich and poor is one of the driving factors that sparked the Cuban Revolution. Tensions between these two classes increased, ultimately leading to a revolutionary breaking point. Marriage was highly valued in Cuban society. Marriage looked like a legal relationship or a consensual union, meaning that two people lived together as if they were married, but without legal recognition. A lot of people decided to live unmarried. One major topic regarding marriage was the 1940 Constitution. This document opened eyes to a more progressive view of marriage. It established the idea that a long-term relationship is equal to marriage, so people could share rights and have children. It also gave women more rights. Apart from official marriages, the idea of equiparation, meaning an unmarried individual's right to ask a civil court to declare his or her consensual union equivalent to a legal contracted civil marriage. To do this, you had to prove that your relationship was stable. Many people struggled with what was seen as stable or singular nature. Fidel Castro and Mirta Diaz-Balart were introduced while they were studying at the University of Havana by her brother Rafael Diaz-Balart. Mirta was studying philosophy and Fidel was studying law. Through his connections to Mirta, Fidel was exposed to the lifestyle of the Cuban elite, which moved his political standing further to the left, as he interpreted Cuba's problems as an integral part of the capitalist society. He now had intimate insight into the corruption of officials. The couple married in October 1948 and took an extended honeymoon to the United States. Fidel was 22 and Diaz-Balart was 20. 1 year later, in 1948, their son Fidel Castro Diaz-Balart, known as Fidelito, the couple shared political ambitions, but when Castro became an enemy of the Bastille in government, Mirta was caught in the middle of the conflict due to her family ties. After a failed armed assault on the Moncado military barracks, Fidel was imprisoned for 2 years. Mirta was among the few visitors Fidel was allowed. When she visited, she would bring Fidelito, so he may still have contact with his father, although Fidel would refuse to see them. While Fidel was in prison, Mirta discovered that he was having an affair with a married Havana socialite, Natalia Revoluta, who was pregnant with his child. The discovery pushed her to file for divorce in 1955 after only 7 years of marriage. After divorcing, Mirta gained custody of Fidelito, and they spent time in the United States before returning to Cuba. When Fidel was released from prison, he went into self-exile in Mexico, where he planned to overthrow the Cuban government. Mirta remarried and fled to the United States as Fidel was gaining power. While in Mexico, Fidel persuaded Mirta to send Fidelito to visit him, promising to send the boy back in 2 weeks. But he went back on his word and refused to send him back to the United States. Looking at Fidel Castro and Mirta Diaz-Balart's relationship in mid-1900s Cuba, they went against many social norms. Their backgrounds were very different. Mirta came from a rich political family and they didn't agree with the views of Castro. Castro's family was landowning, so they had money, but he wasn't tied to the political world. Some sources would say that both family didn't really want them to get married, but they ignored these voices. That showed how their relationship challenged the social norms that you have to marry within your social circle. Their divorce also went against social norms. Divorce was a complicated subject, especially with elite families. Mirta divorced Castro after it became known that he was having an affair. In Cuban society during this time period, it was expected that the wife would stay. She later remarried to someone with the opposite views of Castro. She can exercise her independence with little backlash.